Never had it in my life. Bit too late now.
Yes,
Yeah?
too late now.
Far too late. Yeah. And I think that is wise to say to writers. If you want to start writing, you have to begin now. Really. And that's why I think we are celebrating the book launch for Dr. Shanmugalingam, who's had a very speckled career. Got a PhD from Oxford, is it?
Yes, Oxford.
From Oxford in economics.
Yeah.
Then went to the Harvard School of Government.
Yes. Kennedy School.
Kennedy School. Worked in the Treasury with Dr. Tan Sri Sit. Then went on and became a big corporate person in Petronas. Then started a company called Trilogic with some very elite figures in Malaysia. I won't mention their names. And then decided that he would pursue his first love. His first love even before he married. The muse. And it's taken him all this time to bring out his first book. And when I first met him, I had many fewer wrinkles. And he had much more hair. So, a couple of things I want to say. We had talked about this being a book launch, and in every book launch, actually, there are books to be sold and for the author to sign. But because of some kind of cultural, social, financial misunderstanding, the books are not here to be sold or signed. They are at the Garak Budaya, which is, 7 minutes away or so? You don't know where it is? So after the introduction and the reading, those of you who would like to buy the book and get it signed, because in a few years you can put it on eBay and get 3 times the money back. We will all truck together to the Garak Budaya and have it signed. And those of you who feel like it, I'm going to go to the first place I can find with cold beer. And I'll have a beer. And we can all have a drink together. Alright? How many of you would love a cold beer, show of hands?
Right now.
No, I know, I would love one right now, believe me. Seriously. But there's none to be found nearby, so. And we'll try to go to a place for cold beer that doesn't cost 28 ringgit, which is what I paid in the hotel. It's simple, right? Not the drinking, but the cost. Okay, so let me begin by telling you something about Shan Mugalingam. I've given you a little bit of his bio. But this book of his, which took him maybe 20 years when he first began writing the first short story, it has received marvelous glowing reviews, and it has now risen to the 3rd bestseller on the Straits Times list.
MPH.
Yeah, MPH. So it is just below Crazy Rich Asians, and I think some other ghost stories or something. It's a book that I think, as a critic of Malaysian writing and as a reader, is really original. You know, Anna Peranakan, there are lots of writings by Peranakan about Peranakan society. There are lots of writings by Burmese about Burmese society. There's lots of writings by Chinese, Malaysians, and so forth. But I think this is the first book that focuses on Jaffna Tamils. So it is really original in that it has this niche position. And it's a very unique niche position. It's the first collection of its kind. And obviously it will occupy a place in the literary history of Malaysia, Anglophone literary history. So any of you who are doing criticism on Malaysian Anglophone or Southeast Asian Anglophone history, this is really the first of its kind. When I first met him, I started reading his short stories. I said to him, you know, Shan, you have a real sense of humor. And his humor is satirical, which is quite cutting, but it's also very gentle. And humor is very hard to do. I've written a lot of books, I've written a lot of poems, and somehow I can't do humor. Except, of course, in the age of Trump, I have tried to do some parodies. But my parodies are full of the F word. And so it's publishable in the US, but it cannot be read orally in Malaysia, am I correct? Right? So I don't try reading my anti-Trump poems. But his book has this series of short stories that the Sultan of Perak has taken up as his pet project. And it was launched by the Sultan of Perak in Kuala Lumpur, is it? And he also has written a foreword to it.
Yes.
And he has made some comments about it. And I thought I will quote him, and please note that I'm not plagiarizing him, right? I'm citing him. So I've got these little rabbit's ears, I tell my students, well, I won't repeat you what I tell my students, these rabbit ears. But let me show you here what he said. Quite apart from being a wonderfully entertaining collection of stories, I particularly welcome the book for the insights it provides into our country's history. As an economic historian, I'm always keen to gain deeper and different perspectives on important aspects of our past. This is our Sultan of Perak, a very educated royal person. As an economic historian, that's how he identifies himself. Isn't that wonderful? While economic history gives us the vital data, historical fiction such as Marriage and Mutton Curry not only contributes to our understanding of the past, but it also enables us to empathize directly with the people who shaped and were part of this history. I think more seriously, the Sultan of Perak says that history tends to be written by winners, but that historical fiction broadens the record to include the many non-winners, quote, who make up the vast majority of us. And us, US, in Malaysia, we can see that this is really quite a remarkable thing for him to say, that the vast majority of us in Malaysia are non-winners. And this book reaches and records the history of non-winners. So maybe, without taking up more time, I will give the mic to Shan. Let's just call him Shan and give him a big hand. He's going to read excerpts to you. And then we'll have Q&A, and then we'll all trot out for beer, but before the beer, for the book. Okay? All right.
Many thanks, Shirley. Shirley's been my mentor for the longest time.
True.
So she takes both the credit and the blame for whatever I've done or am doing. Now, the ambition of most Jaffna Tamils is to be either a medical doctor or to work in the treasury. So I shall start off with two people who worked in the treasury. The first one is a guy from the East Coast, Rahman, who's about to receive his first American visitor from the World Bank. So the title of the story is Rahman's American Visitor. I hear only one word issuing clearly from his lips. Facilities. I'm ready for him. Mr. Malone, loan officer of the World Bank. I'm so glad you came straight to the point. You Americans are so direct. Not like the British or us Malayans. We are so slow to warm up. I'm honored to give you a time-saving verbal tour of the Treasury's facilities. You see this telephone? I wipe fingerprints off it. If I dial 99, my peon will rush in, almost like dialing 999 for emergencies. Ready to bring me and you, since you are my guest, a cup of hot coffee with milk and sugar mixed together in advance. We are very advanced. The facilities. You see, Mr. Malone, I twirl my finger on the dial of my black telephone. If I proceed to dial 98, my Jaffna Tamil clerk will pop up with draft replies on confidential subjects and important office matters, particularly about who's likely to be sent on transfer and what grade of farewell party he deserves. He will proofread my letters, improving the drafts so that they look really good. My signature carries more weight than his, so I'm on top and he's on tap. Our correspondence goes out tip top. The facilities. Malone clears his throat again as he shifts in his chair. Hold your horses, as we say to you Americans, with your colorful cowboy history. To think that just a few months ago, I was a mere undergraduate waiting at the bus stop trying to thumb a lift. Now I have people under my thumb. How thumbs have changed. So, have you come to the right place to ask about facilities? By the way, Mr. Malone, are you here alone with some loan facilities? Excuse the pun. Malone thumped his forehead with the heels of his palm. He pulls out his handkerchief and mops the perspiration trickling down his bushy eyebrows. He slams his briefcase on my table. Excuse me, Mr. Raymond Arab Dollar. Your tour of the facilities is most awesome, I swear. All I really need to know is... We'll need to find out, won't we?
You need to say that again. What is it? All I need to know is? Go ahead, please.
No, you'll have to read the story to find out.
As we say in Bahasa, nakal. Sangat nakal.
The second story, called Seek and Shall Ye Find, is also about a treasury officer. I told you they're the center of the universe, the Jaffna universe. Tan Sri, I've been robbed. Robbed? Tan Sri looks at me over the spectacles resting on his cheeks. Yes, Tan Sri, what is supposed to be mine has been snatched from me. I tuck errant strands of hair back into my white turban with my mother's multi-purpose 4mm short knitting needle. Above all, sir, if I don't get this promotion, I shall become the laughing stock of the Sikh community. Oh? Why is that? Tan Sri Abdullah sits up. What have they got to do with this? They have already given me a lavish subscription dinner to celebrate my sure to get promotion. Now, they'll be asking for refunds. How to face them, sir? Now that I have the chief's full attention, I deliver my Paka line as casually as I can. By the way, sir, I met my uncle, Ganga Singh Master, at a party. I believe you know him. Tan Sri blinks and his face turns red. He's your uncle? I didn't know that. I'm very fond of him and hold him in high regard. He was my favorite English master. I had no idea he's your uncle. He never mentioned it to me. Is he really your uncle? Yes. Both you and I were his star students. I raised my right hand in the air. Nizam hands a letter to Tan Sri later on. Here's the appeal from Santok Singh of the Treasury. Yes, the nephew of my ex-teacher, Ganga Singh Master. He's a hard-working officer, Tan Sri, Nizam says. I remember my school days. Terrible times in some ways, but necessary. Ganga Singh Master, big, terrifying, but helpful. He reminds me so vividly of my English lessons. He beat out the rhyme of the ancient mariner with the familiarity of a chapati maker, one palm slapping the other as he chanted, in sing-song gusto. Tan Sri Abdullah's voice grows louder. It is an